One quick thing. It's a no swearing podcast, right?
No, it's a very swearing podcast.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Good.
Fucking A, baby.
Welcome to Love and Brief, a not-so-brief ABDL advice podcast focused on issues of love. Love for self, love for others, love for absorbent undergarments. Some of those might be made out of cloth. We're going to talk about just barrels and buckets and sudsy laundry
Sudsy laundry
Sinks
loads of love.
of love today.
That's a first, I think, for this one. Sudsy laundry loads of love. What are you called?
I am Lola.
Yep, and I'm Resonant Yes. And this is one of those episodes that we have been asked to do so many times and have wanted to do so many times. People want us to do more diaper episodes in general. I hear that a lot.
Diapers are sweet.
Because they're sweet and they're really fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And we end up getting into all this love stuff and heart stuff instead. Well, this one's about diapers, boy, oh boy.
Okay.
But we have specifically been asked a whole bunch of times to talk about cloth diapers. And we finally are doing a cloth diaper
It's
episode.
happening.
I
Woo!
know. It's so overdue. I was looking back in our question archives, which is a thing that we have. And
I see it. It's right here. I promise it's right here, friends.
And not too long ago, Baby98 on Tumblr said, I want to see if you'd ever thought about doing a cloth diaper episode. I'm interested in using cloth more. Would love to hear other people's opinions and tips and tricks. And then specifically mentioned one of our guests and said that this would be a good guest. They do cloth full time, and I'm sure that others would be interested in helping. And I thought, yep, let's pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, and particularly, when we were doing the episode at North Shore HQ, we were talking about the price of diapers going up, disposables. And then they did. And the tariffs brought new costs and all this. No better time to talk about cloth diapers than right now.
I agree with that. Let's do it.
Let's get into it. Well, would you like to introduce our first guest?
Sure. So we have two new friends with us today. And I'm going to start with our new friend, Exec Baby, that joins us all the way from across the pond. And Exec Baby, welcome to Love and Brief.
Thank you.
And yes, we're so glad you're here. Can you tell us a little bit about your love right now?
Well, I mean, I have to start with, what was it? The lorry loads of sudsy love? I mean, there's definitely love for that. 100%.
Lorry loads. I like that.
I like the alliteration.
Well,
It's whole liftfuls. A veritable crisp. Sorry, these are just the only British isms I know.
The
Sorry.
loo. You don't need the loo.
No loo.
And as I said, I'm going to have to try and limit them for your lovely international audience, but they will creep out at times.
Thank you for translating.
So I'm going to start with love of this community because as until really quite recently, I was pretty hidden. But this community of the last 2 years, particularly podcasts, particularly this podcast, has really changed my life in an enormous way. And alongside that is the incredible love I have for my incredible wife, who is really the non-kinkiest person you will ever meet in your life. And in the last 2 months, for a whole load of reasons that I don't need to go into, has done a complete 180 shift and has embraced all parts of me, including the ABDL part of me, which I never thought would happen. And it's transformed my life.
This sounds like its own episode, this story.
This is so wonderful. I'm so happy.
I'm left with questions of how and why and what happened and what changed. But
we have cloth diapers
we
to
have
talk
cloth
about.
diapers
Yeah,
to talk
cloth
about.
diapers to talk about.
But how wonderful. And your partner sounds amazing.
Yeah.
She is. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Oh, I love it. See, we can't not talk about love.
Yeah, and that's true. And community changes lives, right?
For sure.
It's just been shown over and over and over and over and over again, especially in this community.
Yeah.
Community changes lives.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you for that, EB. I would love to introduce our other guest. And this is Liv, and you may know Liv as Newborn ABDL on Instagram. And Liv and Kara's mommy, we are here with baby. Liv, welcome to Love in Brief, and tell me about your love.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My current love is, it can't be the weather because the weather hasn't been great. And thankfully, I have a steadfast love in my partner and in this dynamic. And I appreciate it because when the storms are rough and the outside world is crazy and chaotic, I find such a solace in my own home and the environment we've
Mm.
created here. And I'm really grateful for that these days.
What an amazing thing to know that even when the world gets rough, that you can come home to a love and an environment that is healing.
Yeah.
And
That's
what
so
I really
wonderful.
appreciate is me and Evie have a similar story in that our partners were vanilla, and finding a person who accepts you for you when maybe at face value you never thought that was a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And to find that intimacy and that embrace that allows you to unlock vulnerability is so special compared to other relationships in my life or past relationships that maybe didn't embrace this side of me. And
Mm.
I'm so grateful to have a wife who I can come home to every day and turn off my mind and just be with.
That was so beautiful and
It is.
wonderful. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, and
That little
when you
look into
describe
that.
intimacy and vulnerability, like, my heart just gets all warm and squishy inside.
Yes.
Well, speaking of warm and squishy,
Yeah.
not an intentional turn, but here we go.
Can I just say that was a beautiful segue.
Yeah, right. I appreciated that.
Got
I
a
like
that
professional
was-
over here.
Didn't mean to, but here we
Yeah,
are.
it was a pearl.
Yeah. So I want to talk about cloth diapers. It's something that neither of us have a lot of experience with. And EB, I would love to start with you. How did you discover cloth diapers? And tell me about what your sort of connection or what it is that they mean to you.
Sure. So basically, I'm the generation. I'm X-Gen. I'm 55, and I know I sound weeks younger than that, but that's what I grew up wearing. Then, when I was 4 years of age, I had to go to hospital for a pretty nasty bout of pneumonia, and I was kind of on my own there for certain reasons. And I just remember there were these two nurses, and that's what they put me into. So I'm 4, so I know I'm kind of supposed to be out of nappies, diapers, but they put me into these terry nappies, these cloth toweling nappies, and they felt so safe and secure that really is what got through me that really traumatic time in hospital. And I was kind of desperate to search for them and get hold of them ever since, but it just never happened. And then when I was about 7 or 8, my brother got born, and bingo, there were two things. There were these terry toweling nappies, cloth diapers, and there were plastic pants, and I lost my heart. And so for the next 4 years, I just went on this massive hunt for anything I can find in the back of cupboards and wardrobes, and found them. And that was great for a while until I outgrew them. And then I found a professional facilitator in my early 20s who was an ex-nurse, and that's all she had. She just had the terry toweling cloth nappies of my childhood, and the first time she put me in one, I just melted and thought, I'm home.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was a love affair. I'd say probably plastic pants is where I really go to, but you know, the softness of the terry toweling around my butt, it just did it for me, and it just melted me, and that's been it for ever since.
I am going to show my ignorance in all of this. I am so new. I have to admit, I have one cloth diaper and it's just sitting on the shelf, and I've only used it for a photo shoot. But I want to change that. But I'm curious, is this something you can still get, these terry towel cloth diapers? And can you get them like in adult sizes right now?
You absolutely can. I have done my research, and I found out it's a bit harder in America. In North America, although you can get cloth from Rears, which is kind of nice. But if you want, and I'm telling you, the terry toweling is the softness of it is absolutely what the feel of it is what you want to go for. So it might be a little bit of extra cost in terms of shipping costs, but there are so many British manufacturers that still sell them. You can get them on eBay. You can get pre-folds. You can get the terry toweling squares, and I'm happy to chuck all the suppliers' names in the show notes. So yeah, you can absolutely get them, but they tend to be more of a European thing, and a UK thing less than an American thing, if I'm honest with you.
I would love to include those in the show notes. Yeah. And you had, when we were chatting before the episode started, you had mentioned that there's a reason why people in the UK might be more into cloth diapers. I wonder if you'd share that.
100%, because we were so technologically prehistoric that we didn't get disposables until about 1987. So you've got so many more people, but also the kind of the eco movement in the UK was always really strong. So there's always been these parents that wanted to use cloth, that wanted to use terry toweling, and also it's the cost issue. I think that basically we're just not kind of as rich as you guys. So there were lots of people that wanted to keep their babies in terry toweling. And because it's kind of a smaller country, you could have these laundering services that were quite set up and they're quite widespread over the UK. So there's a lot more parents that kept their kids in terry nappies. As a result, there's a lot more kids that grew up with, an ABDL love, and that's what they remember wearing. And I think you just go back to what you remember. And that's my very unscientific explanation.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's good to have that background. That makes a lot of sense.
And your story of sort of how you fell in love with cloth diapers has a couple of hallmarks, I think, of a lot of people's experience. Yeah. One is that you had an exposure to this stimulus at a time when things were very formative. And in your case, things were very stressful, and they were a comfort. A very physical reminder of being taken care of that was just reinforced. And this is textbook for how fetishes develop, right? Yes. Textbook. Yep. And then you describe having an exposure later in life, where even if it was just a little bit later, where somebody else enters the picture. I know a lot of folks who said they weren't really aware that they were interested in diapers until a younger sibling was born. And then they went, oh my gosh, look at the love and attention and all that, and this looks awesome. And I would love to have that. And
sibling envy is a great help to fetishes.
It is. It's really helpful.
How dare you?
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah.
My theory is that the first thing probably is what interests a person. But the second thing is I know that I care about that. And now I see somebody else getting it. And I want that attention and I want that love in a way that I can understand, which is where the first thing comes in, right?
Yeah.
I know that this communicates that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would also say, I sort of feel like as an evangelist for cloth, if I was doing a sales pitch, particularly to younger listeners who are kind of love their disposables, I would say there's a ritual to changing cloth, to changing terry nappies. There's a ritual around it that's way more. I mean, this is a bit unfair maybe, but it seems to me with a disposable, it's like but with your tapes, you're done. Whereas with terry nappies, with cloth diapers, there's the folding. And then there's the putting the soaker pads in, and then there's the talcum powder, and then is it going to be a pins or is it going to be a nipper? And so it takes a lot longer, therefore it's much more sensual. And because you feel it next to your skin and you're wet when you're wet. The thing about disposables obviously is all the moisture wicks away. No, when you're wet in a terry nappy, you're wet. And for those
I would completely agree with that. Completely agree.
Yeah, it's great in it, Liv. I mean, when you have that, it absolutely, and if you're into the messy thing as well, you super know you're messy. So there's that kind of ritual around it. It's more sensual. And then, of course, the nappy goes on, and then you've got to have the plastic pants pulled up very slowly. And so because of the whole ritual aspect of it, I just find it's infinitely more sensuous, and it just feels more babyish than a disposable, because it's kind of got all these old-fashioned tropes as the pins, etc., and the pants. So that's my first part of my sales pitch.
You are turning me on right now. This is working.
I was just going to say, like, you got me with the, I'm such a physical being that, like, I'm like, yes. And anytime there's a ritual to something, that's like, I think one of the things I love most about kinks is like the ritual of like kneeling down in front of my daddy, you know, like the whole ritual of it, I think is so beautiful. And I just, I don't know. I don't think of getting diapered so much as a ritual. For us, sometimes it's just like very matter of fact, which is also hot. But that's so interesting and intriguing. And I'm wondering, Liv, does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. I really appreciate the thickness of cloth diapering that, in my opinion, is just uncompared. As someone who has experimented with both cloth and disposable, I'm a little bit younger than EB. I'm coming up on 30. And I was raised in the United States on disposable diapers. I was the youngest child in my family. So
You're
my
defying all the conventions.
I know. And
I love
that's
it.
what I mean.
Yeah.
So how did you
find it?
how did you fall in love with cloth diapers?
So my love of cloth diapers actually came after I was into the ABDL kink and settled into my dynamic a little bit. We had moved in together. We had started breastfeeding or trying to dry lactate at first. And while we were doing that, I was realizing it was during the pandemic, and I just realized how many diapers I was going through a day and how it just wouldn't be feasible if I wanted to continue doing 24/7 in the way that we were doing it. I love being able to be changed when I need it, the way a newborn baby would. You wouldn't leave a baby messy or dirty for too long because they're going to get fussy. So, what I appreciate about cloth diapers is the versatility in the absorbency, so that if I know I'm going to be messing within the next hour or two, we might put only 2 boosters in that diaper, and I'm going to get changed right after I mess. And it allows for more changes in the day, going back to that ritual of it. I love getting changed by mommy. I love that care part of our relationship. And the high absorbency disposables were just too much. So I started looking into cloth, and what I found was that they were more comfortable, and I loved the feeling. Unlike EB, I don't do pins. I kind of found a happy medium between convenience and cloth. We pre-stack all of our diapers with varying levels of boosters on our changing table, and then we use a Velcro cover over it. So there's no pins involved, which kind of cuts down on some of the danger if when you're diapering yourself. But it still allows you that sensual thickness, feeling your wetness, feeling your mess that I really have come to enjoy versus the disposable, high wicking, high absorbency.
I have 17 questions right now in my brain.
I have 117. You go first.
Whoa. I don't know where to start. Well, I think my first question, if you don't mind sharing, Liv, how many changes do you normally go through in a typical day?
So on a normal day, it's about 5 to 7 diapers a day.
Okay.
And that's including my morning change and my night change.
So I'm curious then, like, how often are you laundering these?
I like to do laundry every other day or every third day if I'm pushing it. But it's just kind of built into my daily, weekly routine at this point, and it really doesn't bother me. In my opinion, it maybe takes me. Mommy is in charge of folding. I'm in charge of the actual laundering. And if you add all our time together, it's maybe an extra 2 hours a week.
Oh,
okay.
Is that
That's
all?
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably probably for some folks would be, I know for me it is, a surprise, and probably a pretty comforting surprise that you're not spending 10 plus hours a week doing laundry.
Now, I want to be upfront and saying if I'm doing a deep cleaning of my cloth diapers and stripping them and that process, you might do that for a whole day. And it will take a day to strip your diapers and deep clean them. And you have to do that I like to do it every 4 to 6 months, depending on the buildup. But like I said, to me, that day of cleaning is worth it. I'm still getting things done, but they have to soak for a couple hours versus my normal launder routine.
Yeah.
We both were like, what is stripping? Is this
we looked at each other like stripping sounds hot, but it's probably different.
That's not what I was thinking, but it is hot. I agree. What does that mean?
So stripping is just another way of saying deep cleaning for the cloth diaper process. From what I understand and what I've come to learn over the past 6 years of cloth diapering is you are stripping all of the chemicals and fibers that sometimes get broken down from detergent or Desitin or oils sitting against your fabrics. You want to break all that down and strip that off so that it doesn't affect the absorbency. So
that makes sense.
I like to do this in my tub just because my washer isn't big enough to do all of my cloth diapers at once. I fill it up with hot water and boiling water, a cup of detergent, a cup of washing soda, a cup of Arm & Hammer boosting soda. I know that sounds weird, but that's the name of it. And a cup of water softener. So it's just equal parts of all the ingredients. You're going to let the diapers soak, agitate them every hour, and then at the end, you wash them as normal. So there's different recipes I call it a recipe, but there's different ways of doing it online. And I always like to say that cloth diapering is not a one size fits all. You are going to find the right fit for you, the right wash routine for you. And there's not one way of doing it, quote unquote, right. You might find for you a certain way of folding or a certain diaper works better, and I swear by a totally different type of diaper. Like personally for me, I can't get terrycloth to fit tight enough. And I experienced a lot of leaking around the groin area. Whereas when I changed to the Velcro or even the snap version, I was experiencing a lot less leaking. That's just me, though.
Yeah, and I like what you said about there's not one way to do it, and I think that's true of kink in general, and it's true of ABDL. So another way in which it's true is choosing which diaper, choosing which routine,
and even
choosing
with
how you
disposables,
clean.
there are some that don't fit me that just don't work, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
I am curious.
And I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I just think that can be something that discourages people from trying cloth is they don't know where to start and they feel like, oh, what if I mess up the cloth diaper or what if I ruin it? You can't ruin it. I promise you can always deep clean, strip the diaper and start over if you use a detergent or you use the wrong thing. I would say the biggest no-go is just do not put softener on your diapers. No softener.
It's just like with towels.
Yeah, because it repels the water and it makes it useless.
Yep.
Right.
Correct.
So that's a good pro tip, and I want to get to some pro tips in a bit, but I do want to, as you were talking about, EB, as you were talking about the ritual, Liv, as you were talking about the laundering routine and how wonderful it is, and it's its own ritual, some of those, and even the feeling of being wet or messy, some of those things for some people would sound terrible, right? I don't want to feel it, or I don't want to have to put the work in. But much like all wonderful things fetish, for some folks, that is actually the point, is the ritual. EB, I'm curious for you, we're describing a lot of work here relative to, let's say, a disposable diaper. And based on what you've described, I'm presuming that you are sometimes doing it to yourself, not having a partner do it. What's it like to do all this work?
Well, I think picking up what Liv said, there are two things. Number one, you have to become a biochemist in terms of getting all your washing right, and finding out about bicarbonate of soda and white wine vinegar. So that's the chemistry aspect of it. And then you've got to become basically an astrophysicist in understanding how to fold the bloody things.
That is, I have to say, that's literally the thing that's like stopping me.
The folding?
And then Liv was saying like the boosters, is that just like a piece of cloth? Like and then some are just squares, and I'm like, I don't know how to do any of those.
Okay. So here's my experience, right? The boosters are super easy. You just get baby diapers, baby nappies, in any kind of pharmacy that still sells them. And then loads of ABDL suppliers sell the boosters. So that's pretty easy. Okay. The folds thing, there are two really simple folds. There's something called the kite fold, which is everywhere. You can find that online. And there are so many tutorials on YouTube. And again, I can put some in show notes. And basically what you're trying to do is, to Liv's point about leakage, you're trying to get the right fold so you've got all the bulk in the middle and none of the bulk at the sides. Mm-hmm. So that's like kind of the basic point. And all the folds do that to an extent. There's one mystical, magical fold called the bat fold. Well, I mean, which kind of sounds cool in itself, right? The bat fold.
It does, yeah.
Like Batman? Ooh,
it. And if it could be achieved, it would be fantastic. I don't like to think of myself as a dumb person. I got a couple of university degrees. I've tried for the fucking life of me. I have tried this fucking fold for about 5 years and I still can't nail it. So it's that, but I kind of figure if I pull it off, it's going to be like Zeppelin recording Stairway to Heaven. It's going to be a seminal moment.
Awesome.
There are going to be kind of like unicorns and sparkles like flitting around my head.
Do you think bats will just like come flying out?
Oh, there is the fear of summoning bats.
That be?
Yeah,
but like, how cool is that scene in Dark Knight when? Anyways, never mind.
No, exactly.
I'm sorry, Batman Begins when it comes out.
Yeah, like the bat signs behind me lit up in the sky for all to see. He has mastered the bat fold.
That's right.
Anyway.
So would these all be on like a square piece of fabric?
Yeah, so they're all on classic terry squares.
Okay,
but there are a couple of super easy folds that are easy to manage. And so when you're doing it yourself, those kind of folds, are just easy. You've got your stuffers that you slip in. That's really easy. A bit of talcum powder, and then you're pinning it or velcroing it. There are loads of different fasteners as well. I like kind of pins because again, I'm old school. I just like the nostalgia of it. And
pins would be like safety pins, like we might imagine from
exactly that. You know what I mean? And for some of your listeners, they might not worry too much about a little prick. Sorry, that's a terrible joke. You can cut that one out in post, right? But
no, that's staying.
Yeah, but I
won't.
But yeah, so there are so many modern versions of it. There's something I should know what the American name of it is. It's called a Nappy Nipper in the UK. So it's basically kind of like a stretchy piece of plastic that's kind of got 3 grips. I don't know, Liv, if you know what I'm talking about, but it's a stretchy piece of plastic, 3 grips.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. I have some pins and I have some of those. I'm trying to find out which company makes them right now. So I'll check back in 1 moment.
Sure.
Wow,
nice.
I love how we're having research done now.
Oh, well, we are
here first, folks.
Proper geeks as cloth diaper fans.
I love it.
And the great thing about the nipper is it was invented by a guy, Obs, who got so annoyed with the pins and he kept on sticking himself with the pins and bleeding all over the place that he came up with this brilliant design for the nipper. So they're super easy, and it's all on tension. So it holds each side and then one in the kind of crotch area. So the tension holds it all together, and they are super easy. Again, I promise you, they are the most fantastically easy thing to do. So that will hold it, but there are so many.
And you can actually, I'm checking back in, we actually can get them now on Amazon, and they're by a company called ABZ that makes them. Those are the ones that I bought for around $11. And they're sold through the In Control store. So, and they are great if you are a person who maybe can't be bothered with the pins or find them to be a little bit finicky. I can get a more tighter fit with the pin. It's called a pin-free cloth diaper fastener, if anybody's
there you
wondering.
go.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to claim supremacy here for the UK. I think Nappy Nipper works much better.
Yeah.
Just
That's
saying.
I love it.
agree with
I
that.
agree.
Way cuter. Way cuter.
The Nappy Nipper allows you to keep adjusting without having to unpin or readjust every side.
Yeah.
And that makes it a little bit easier, especially if you're new. I also think that in the USA, I have bought my flat diapers. They're called flat diapers here. He calls them Terry. We call them flat cloth diapers. And you could get them through Leakmaster pretty cheap for around $15.
Okay. Pro tip. We'll put that in the show notes too. Leakmaster.
I'm just looking on if you could get on eBay in the UK, ebay.co.uk, you've got all access to these kind of things, and I think it's just negotiating with them about shipping. But that's certainly the easiest way to get all the pre-folds, the Velcros, all of that kind of stuff. So it's if you can do it with a VPN line or whatever, I guess that would be the easiest way of getting hold of UK and European things.
Do you ever have a moment, EB, where you're like, today I just don't want to bother with the hassle. Today I want that disposable. Or is it always like, no, the ritual is part of the fun, and I would be missing something if I didn't do the ritual?
I so wish I was pure of heart. Oh, why? I'm a bit flexitarian, I got to be honest. And I kind of think that. Do you know what? I kind of think it is the answer, really, because I think it would be kind of very, be a bit draconian of me to say, you must convert. I mean, there are huge environmental benefits. Obviously, taking disposables out of landfill, you're lessening the microplastic exposure to you, the chemicals that are in disposables. You're taking all of that out of the equation. And landfill is a huge one. Because in Japan, as from next year, they're going to be selling more adult diapers than they are baby diapers.
Wow.
So
That's
that.
wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And
that's remarkable.
That's a demographic
That was a
shift.
huge reason for me to switch, actually.
The environmental impact?
Correct.
Yeah.
I was realizing just how much, not just the environmental impact of the waste, but also the impact it was having on my body with the exposure to the chemicals that are needed to create the absorbency in disposable diapers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We always do a live episode from CapCon, and we did one 2 CapCons ago. That for whatever reason, whenever we do the live episode, people bring their hardest, most challenging,
they want to see you sweat.
Yeah, they want to see me sweat. And so the question about environmental impact came up, and how do you mitigate or mediate when you're using disposables? And the only answer I had is the truth, which is you don't. It's a horrible environmental impact when you're using disposables, and there's no way around that. It's plastic that you throw away after one use, and it's a lot of it. And it is sort of my greatest sin in the world, is that in order to engage in this kink, that I waste a lot of material, and cloth gives me an answer for that.
Yeah.
Why am I so scared of it, though?
Why are you scared of it?
I don't know. Well, maybe because, spoiler here, I did not come factory installed with this kink.
Yeah.
And so, but it's interesting because I'm trying to feel into that a little bit throughout this episode. And it actually feels like when I was first trying to wear disposable diapers, they also scared me because I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And also, and all of the things too, I was like, what if I break out in a rash? What if it's really unhealthy for me? What if I get, yeast infections and all of that stuff too?
Yeah.
And I think that, and I think the barrier for me was just someone just had to do it. And it was people do this all the time.
Just push through.
You can do it. And I don't have any friends that actually wear cloth diapers that could help me. Here is how you do the thing.
You have 2 now.
I have 2 now. Yeah.
Just out of interest, then, Lola, what would help? Is it kind of like video tutorials? What would be the thing that would take that kind of angst away the best?
Yeah, I do think some cool video tutorials would be really helpful. Just in the same way that I have people reach out to me all the time, like, how do you make your tape so tight? I'm like, oh, you literally you pull up and down, like alternating like diagonally and boop, and you just do it.
Yeah.
And, but of course that was something that I had to figure out too. And I didn't know how to do that. Right. But I do think like video tutorials, and then just, yeah, I think it's also the other barrier for me is like the initial cost. So I wear 24/7 and I don't right now foresee me switching to wearing cloth diapers 24/7, but I would like to, because of environmental impacts and all sorts of things, I would, and now financial, right? Maybe put some into my rotation.
Yeah.
But there's two things with that. It's like the initial cost of like getting the stuff and then being like, what if I don't actually like this? And now I've bought these things, right?
Right.
And second is that seems a lot harder to hide.
Yeah, that's
like
one of the
having
things
them
I
in
want to
our
talk about.
house,
Right.
So, yeah, those are my two biggest barriers.
You know what? I came up with a kind of fairly crappy acronym of 3. So I'm going to, we've done the feel, we've done the ritual, we've done the environment. So let's do the last E. Let's do the embarrassment. So look, if you're in any kind of DS dynamic, and that's what kind of turns you on, that's the beauty about terries, about cloth. Everybody knows you're wearing it. So if you want to play around with that kind of embarrassment, that kind of potentially humiliation, if you're into some kind of sub-dynamic, or chastity scene, that's where cloth is so much of a winner. Because so much harder to hide. You don't lose any of the crinkle factor because there are so many pairs of plastic pants that are crinkly as well. You don't lose any of the baby thing because there are so many plastic pants that have got nursery prints on them. So you're not losing that either. But with the embarrassment thing, and obviously, you're going to be careful where you can use it, where it's appropriate. But actually, you can make that part of the enjoyment of it because it's pretty obvious that that's what you're wearing.
I could see that working. But I know that there are, like Liv, you're wearing 24/7, right? And you're wearing cloth most of the time. You have to go out into the world and do things.
How do you do that?
How do you deal with the fact that, when you're doing a scene, that lack of discretion can be really fun, or that bulk? How do you deal with it out in the world?
And that's what I was just going to chime in with is it is okay to have a small cloth diapers on. Yes, they are known for their thickness, but there are some times where I only go out with a cover and one booster. And that cover and one booster is similar to me wearing a Mega Max. And I would wear a Mega Max under a pair of jeans with a long t-shirt. And nobody's going to really know.
Sure.
Now, if I'm trying to actually use that cloth diaper for any extended amount of time, then that might not be a feasible thing. And that might be one of the days where I opt to wear a disposable pull-up underneath my cloth diaper. That might be a day that I decide to add a disposable booster to the cloth diaper instead of just having all of the cloth in there, since the disposable is a little bit thinner but has a high absorbency rate.
Yeah.
These are really good tips.
You could
really
use
smart.
you could use a disposable booster inside of a cloth cover for sure.
When I have people come to me and say, I'm so scared to start, I'm scared of the upfront cost, I'm scared of when to use, when not to use. I love cloth diapers for this reason. They are so versatile and they are so adaptable to what is best for you. Don't be afraid to try one diaper of a couple brands to find out what fit works best. And then maybe I always like to say you can grow your bravery. So at first I would go out with just the cloth diaper on, no boosters, and plastic pants. So if I had wet it, it wouldn't have leaked anywhere right away, but I would have had to change very shortly after that. Similar to maybe wearing a good night that's too small for you. Then I slowly started adding boosters and adapting my wardrobe to being longer t-shirts,
I wear a lot of
honest-
skirts, a lot of flared skirts.
Yep.
a lot of flared skirts, and also I found just sizing up my pants a size or two to
Yep.
adapt has been enough for me that I felt comfortable wearing cloth out in public the majority of the time. Now, am I going to wear a 3 booster cloth diaper when I'm going out to the mall and I'm wearing shorts and a crop top? Probably not. I'm going to have the biggest butt in town. But if I throw a sweatshirt over it or tie a sweatshirt around my waist, or like you said, put a flared skirt on top of the shorts, that's another great thing is I love to put shorts under my skirts and dresses as like a compression.
Yep. Same.
And it works wonders. So just like you would handle disposables, you learn to find your comfort level with cloth and find what adaptations you need to make to your wardrobe. And it becomes less scary as you do it. Like anything else, you just got to dive in, and maybe you just start with, you have that one cloth diaper on the shelf, and maybe you add a disposable booster to it and see how it goes.
Liv makes a really good point
The cloth diaper
there.
I have is like so thick, it's crazy.
Yeah. You may have just gone all in all at once, but we could step our way up.
That makes sense.
Go ahead.
You've got so many different options. That's the thing. If you want it to be seen, if you're into some humiliation scene, then you can absolutely make that happen. But, as Liv has so eloquently said, you can make it very, very discreet as well. So you've got plenty of options. You can have a pull-up. And I mean, going back to your earlier point, RY, I mean, I use the word flexitarian really advisedly because that's how I see it. That if we're all flexitarian, say cut down on meat eating use, we don't have to go completely vegetarian or vegan, but just 20% less meat takes 20% less of the animals. And it's kind of the same thing here as well. You cut down your disposable use by 20%, that's 20% less in landfill, which is, if we all did it, that's a huge amount. And again, I don't want to make everyone wear a hair shirt here, but as someone who environmental issues are massively important to me, it is a really big deal. And just, Lola, if you found the thing that worked for you, and it must be said, there are so many different materials. You've got cotton, you've got toweling, you've got hemp. You can try out all these different materials and find the one that works for you. And that's including the boosters as well. For the UTI thing, Sudocrem still rocking it after about 80 years. And that's still a brilliant barrier cream as well. And there are so many barrier creams that you can use for babies, that you can use for adults as well, that will stop any of that kind of thing going on as well. So you've got plenty of options to keep kind of physical hygiene, physical safety intact. Plus, you've got plenty of options to find the fit, the material that works for you. There are plenty of options.
I would love to chime in and also say, as a female presenting, I actually experience less rashes than ever. And when I do use the occasional disposable, that's when I seem to get the rash. So it's interesting now that I've converted and now that's what I wear the majority of the time. I have a reaction to the disposable, not to wearing cloth.
Interesting.
Well, one of the criticisms I've seen on disposables is that you tend to keep them on a lot longer because you can, right? That because they absorb and they wick away and you don't feel wet, even though you are.
And they make them to, hold 12 liters or whatever.
The 12-liter disposable. And so that, I mean, you've got your plastic exposure, your chemical exposure, et cetera, but you also just have the fact that you tend to wear them for 10 hours in a row.
True. Yeah.
And that has a time and a place. If I'm getting on a flight or I'm going to the airport for the day, that's the 1% of the time you're going to catch me wearing a disposable because cloth is just not feasible in that situation. Yeah. But like EB said, if I can do my part to cut down on the waste and the chemicals and the cost, especially as someone who wears 24/7, it's saving us a lot of money. It's saving a lot for us, even if we don't always see it up front.
Yeah. I think one of the barriers here, I was pointing at Lola like, why don't you do cloth? But I don't either, right? So I have to be honest about that. And one of the barriers for me is hygiene. So not necessarily a UTI, but just you have these diapers that are sitting in a pail somewhere. You have messy diapers that are now you have to engage with, I would imagine, a lot more because they're you have to clean them and you have to store them somewhere until you clean them. I wonder if anybody would share with me a little bit about how you handle sort of the block and tackle of hygiene when you're keeping these diapers around. You're not throwing them away.
Well, I mean, I'll put my kind of 2 cents in right away. I never found it that big a deal, honestly. I remember having an argument with 2 people much older, and the guy was saying the greatest invention is the wheel. And the woman said, that's spoken like a true man, and the greatest invention ever is the washing machine. And I think it's true. Modern washing machines just do such a brilliant job. And you've also got loads of detergents that are specifically designed for cloth as well. So the smell goes really, really quickly, really easily. I mean, the messy thing's different, but then, you just have your one nappy that is the messy nappy and keep the other ones for wet only. I think that's something I've done. And when something gets a bit old, then it moves into the different pile, but I have them that have lasted 2-3 years. The great thing about cloth is as well, particularly with terry toweling, the more you wash it, the more absorbent it gets. I mean, come on, how good is that?
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Liv, how do you... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So, I obviously love to hear what Liv's got to say, but I've never found it a problem in terms
Not been
of
an issue.
No.
Disposable liners can make a huge difference. I don't know if Exec Baby has ever experimented with them, but if I know in the morning, that's my normal messy time, TMI, but that's when I'll add a liner to my morning diaper when I change out of my nighttime diaper. And that way, the messy diaper is far less messy. I just remove the liner, throw that out, and I still run it through the bidet, but it's not nearly as bad as it could be.
Another excellent point.
Yeah, and I was curious for Liv, just because you talked about using them every day all the time. So I assume you're going to have, not one that you use for messy, diapers, but that you would have to rotate them constantly.
So right now we have built up, and I am not saying this as a flex. This is this is an addiction. This is a problem, and I am aware of that. But our current stash of diapers that we have in rotation in the week is about 22 diapers. And that just means that over the past 6 years, that's what I've built up to, that I have enough boosters for. And I will usually have about half of them in the wash and half of them on the shelf. So there's always a constant rotation going, and I never feel like a pressure that, oh, I gotta do laundry right now or I don't have diapers. That's the other great part of cloth diapers, is I'm never worried about running out. As far as the hygiene portion of it, it's never bothered me. Like EB said, I just always kind of treated bodily functions as a no big deal. It was a little bit for my mommy to get over at first because she was very vanilla. And already changing diapers was something for her to get used to. But now that we've been doing it, she loves it. She can't imagine ever going back to disposable full time. We added a bidet to our bathroom to rinse messy diapers. And so the diapers that are sitting in the bedroom, they might be wet, they might have urine on them, but I've never had a problem with smell or feeling like it was gross, because any fecal matter is getting washed off into the toilet right after the diaper is changed.
I see.
And then at that point, yes, there's urine soaked diapers, but that's no different than if you were cloth diapering a baby. And I do the laundry every 2 days. If I hold off till that third day, we might start getting a smell around the bin, but never anything that I was offended by or would turn me off to it. And in fact, it adds to it. I feel like my mommy like knows my smell. She knows me so well. She knows my bodily functions, how often I wet, when I normally use the bathroom, and that adds something to the sub-dom dynamic.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love that too, that you know the way that I smell. And yeah, I'm looking at our way, by the way.
Not telling Liv that. Yeah.
But yeah, I can imagine that actually really adds like this really fun, vulnerable and intimate part into your dynamic. Because I assume like when you wet a cloth diaper, like you can tell right away, right?
I always tell people, no, it's not until I'm to the point of leaking that
Ah.
I usually, as long as you've got a good set of plastic pants, I feel that cloth does a great job at containing smells. What do you think, EB?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's what plastic pants are really designed for. It's not just to keep it waterproof, but it's also to keep the smell in. And if you're going messy as well, I would say that plastic pants keep the messy smelling way better than if it was in a disposable.
That makes
way
sense.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple of pairs of plastic pants, and I find them to be extremely uncomfortable and super sweaty, and I don't know how I would live with them in them all the time. Would you have any tips around this?
Let's get started on this one then, baby.
I know exactly, EB, that you said you love the plastic pants. It's like your favorite part, right?
But you know what? I'm ready to go here. I'm raring to go. Okay. The cheaper ones, stay away from the cheap ones. The cheap ones are the nasty ones, and that's when they have the biggest problem. So if you are happy to spend a little bit more money, but again, with the nappy itself, with the diaper itself, it's just a one-off cost. So the best ones I've found, I think it's a Chinese make called Haiyan, Haian. So they are the most comfortable, but I have got so many suppliers in the UK that have got kind of like cloth leg bands and cloth waistbands, so that doesn't kind of give you that unpleasant sort of biting in feeling. And there are others with sort of wide waistbands as well, so it's kind of like the narrower the waistband, the more it's going to kind of cut into you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, okay, so it's not like a disposal when you've got that bit of air there, but again, all you need to do is just let it breathe for maybe 10 seconds every hour or something like that, and that makes a big difference. So just holding the plastic pants open for just maybe 20 seconds will make a big difference. But again, I like to know I'm wet, so I'm quite happy with that kind of feeling. And again, it's the sort of thing that I think probably over about 4 or 5 hours. I'd love to know what Liv feels. I think about 4 or 5 hours, unless it's messy. If it's just wet, 4 or 5 hours I don't find it a problem against my skin. And at that point, it's ready for a sort of change time then. But I think they're good for that. But with the plastic pants, I just say the better they are at the start, the little bit more money to spend on them, then you will have fewer problems in terms of discomfort. So that's my top tip as good as it goes. Liv, how about you?
I completely agree with everything you said. The one thing that I would add is that in plastic pants, don't be afraid to maybe size up or try a different size, because it can be hard to find what size is best for you when we're talking about plastic, right? That's not your typical fabric. So I found that I needed to actually size up to a large when I'm typically a medium in some companies in the plastic pants to accommodate for the cloth diaper underneath, and my thighs are a little on the bigger side. So I like to size up, and I think it's like everything else. Find the right brand, the right style. Like EB said, invest a little bit more. Don't go for the cheap plastic pants, because they will kind of feel like they're cutting into you. They will feel how they cost, honestly. So do your research, try different styles of plastic covers, because there are many different styles. At night, I like to wear the Ecoable Cloth Diaper set. It's the nighttime. I believe they call it the 2.0 snap pre-fold diaper. And that cover I find to have the most comfortable gussets. Very, very comfortable to wear. I like to flip throughout the night. I go from a side sleeper to a belly sleeper to a back sleeper. And that's what I found most comfortable at night. It's also very accommodating for how thick I make it. Versus during the day, I really like a traditional pull-on style plastic cover. And that works great. But like I said, I needed to size up to find that comfortable fit.
This might sound like a dumb question, but if you're wearing
No
a
dumb question.
Thank you. If you're wearing a cloth diaper, like, is it a must that you also have plastic pants over it?
Yes. Yeah, you're going to be pretty damp without them.
Unless it's like one of those like Ecoable. I actually had one of those in the past.
The sort of all-in-one comes with a plastic built in.
It kind of has the like layer on the outside, I guess, right?
Yeah, do you know what? And actually, there are a lot of cloth diapers that have got a PUL outside layer, so that's much more breathable. Again, they don't look babyish enough for me, so I'm old school. That's why I want the plastic pants. But if you want breathable, there are so many more breathable fabrics, and I'm sure Liv will know much more about US suppliers. But there are so many more that are kind of all-in-ones with that PUL cover, and then you don't have any of those kind of breathability problems. You don't get the rustle either if you want to be discreet. So even then, you've got more options.
Liv, you mentioned the all-in-one. I think it was the Ecoable overnight. Do you find that the all-in-ones are enough to prevent leaks, or do you need to really put plastic pants over top?
So how do I say this nicely? I sometimes find the term all-in-one to be misleading. I think the US market has used it for actual cloth baby diapers, and it hasn't translated well into the adult incontinence market. And the reason I'm saying that is because Ecoable actually markets it as a set. It's not an all-in-one. And the reason they changed it is because it technically is a cover and a diaper underneath. So you are wearing a cover. It's just got the boosters not really built into it. You know what I mean? So that's a case where you've really got to read what you're getting versus Dependeco sells an all-in-one, where what they're saying is that you could wear this alone. I wouldn't recommend it. I still wear plastic pants over it, but you could, I guess. I mean, I think they're using it as a way to summarize that it is a booster with a PUL cover around it, but I would not trust that if you're going to be using it for any sort of extended wedding. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And to add to that, I guess, would be that I like to use cloth diapers for, I don't know if anybody has explored elimination communication, but in our dynamic, we have found that very fun to play with. So sometimes I will go without plastic pants just because mommy wants to be that in tune with how often I need to be changed and how often I'm wetting. But we wouldn't do that if we're not trying to leak all over the house.
Right.
So
it's part of the
that
fun.
could also be
I get that.
Exactly. So I'm trying to say, if you like to leak, then maybe you don't want to wear a plastic pant cover, and
Can
that's
I just
fine
leak all over
too.
everything?
No,
Exactly.
Time and place for sure.
Okay.
Excuse me, Missy, not all over everything. You'll be in your playpen.
That's right. That's right. I mean, we threw out into the Reddit world. Talk to us about cloth diapers. What questions, what thoughts do you have? And holy moly, talk about a passionate group of people. You guys reflected that here. It was also reflected on Reddit that like cloth diaper people are into it. And we got a whole list of tons of reasons, some of which were echoed here today. Tons of reasons why cloth diapers are awesome. Tons of tips on how to make it work. And again, some of those were echoed. today. But in the end, it was people who fell in love with the look, the feel, the babyish nature. The ritual came up a bunch. Even the washing, as we talked about, that the ritual of washing them and hanging them on the drying line was just, it felt so baby, and it felt so maybe, I don't know, 1980s or whatever.
I mean, it's just on display. Like this is your underwear.
Yeah.
And it's hanging in the basement.
Yeah. and there were the tips, around like you can mix in a disposable here and there. Those can still be your friend, and here's how it works. So I'm just impressed with how engaged the cloth diaper world is. That they are serious about it, and it makes me want to get serious about it.
And this is on the subreddit ABDL, right?
Yeah, on the ABDL subreddit.
So if you guys want to go read it, there's lots of stuff there too. Yeah.
Like we said earlier, maybe we are the ABDL equivalent of the flock of seagulls fanboys and girls.
That's right. That's
super passionate.
I think it's becoming more prominent, especially now in today's economic climate.
Flock of seagulls is?
Yes.
Yeah.
The reunion's just down the curve. Oasis first, flock of seagulls second.
Oh my god!
So good.
What I do want to know, just very quickly, if I can, is I feel like Liv and I have become a pretty good sort of tag team in terms of salespeople on this. Have we changed your mind in any way, Lola?
I mean, I think that you've given me more courage to try it. For sure. And I don't know that my mind has changed into like, I've always been curious about it. Like, that's also why I wanted to do this episode, because I was like, how does it work? And I would love to, stop killing the earth as much as I do and all of that. But you've absolutely given me more courage to try it. And also, just go on YouTube, Lola, and look up how to do it. It's fine. Just do it,
But I totally get it. I wanted to take up baking because I thought making bread, like everybody else during the COVID pandemic, thought making bread was a good idea. But I had this thing of you have to be a chemist and a physicist and a chef, and you have to buy all the crap, and you have to learn. And if you mess it up, everything goes horribly fucking wrong all at once.
And your life is just miserable.
Your life is miserable. And the truth is,
it's
no, you can just watch a couple of videos on YouTube and probably get pretty close.
Yeah.
You know what? I will say this to you. Doing cloth is much easier than making sourdough.
Agreed.
It's just
Having done both.
Having done both.
That. Yeah, I believe that. Sourdough's
Having done both, I'm telling you, this one is way easier to master.
One thing that's nice about our dynamic is that even if you aren't sold and I am, you will still end up in cloth diapers. So the real trick is to convince me.
You are
That's
why
true.
us. This is why we're rookie salespeople.
That's right. You got to find the person you're really selling to. I
Failed.
think you both have done a fantastic job selling on this, and I am profoundly intrigued. And I think the thing that it gets me one step away from just clicking the button is hearing that I don't have to go all in all at once is what gets me over that hurdle. I can just buy a couple and try it. And if those don't fit, it's not that all cloth diapers don't fit. I mean, we would never say that about disposable.
Right.
You wouldn't be like, well, rears didn't work, so I guess all diapers don't fit me, right?
Right.
So likewise with cloth, you try a couple, you spend $40, $50, which is less than a case of diapers, of disposables.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work, then you try a different one. And eventually you're going to find something that you really like. And if you really like them, you can get more of them and you can do it more often. You don't have to do it every day. You could just do it on Sundays when you're not going anywhere and see how it feels.
Right.
And I think that it felt like baking. It felt like it's a whole different world that I have to tackle all at once. And it's not.
I was really sold on this ritual part. So
the ritual thing.
Daddy, if you're in.
Yeah, that's nice.
Wow,
I like the ritual.
Yeah.
Telling you, the professional mummy. Actually, in the UK, we call them nannies. And she used to be a hospital nurse. And she used to be a hospital nurse on a ward with teenagers who had to wear nappies, who had to be put back into nappies.
So they were awesome at it.
All my fantasies come true at once. So the way she talks to me with that nappy change was the most delightfully, excruciatingly lovely humiliation ever. And you can work all of that into it.
And that's another part of the cloth diaper experience that I think is very unique, is that if you want to, as a dom, you have a lot of control over how much your little can walk, how thick their diapers is. And forcing them to crawl after they've got this thick diaper on is part of the whole experience. The humiliation, opening that soggy diaper and feeling how heavy it is, all of that adds to the ritual that sometimes is lacking after a while with disposable. It becomes very monotonous, to be honest. And with cloth, it feels like a new adventure every week sometimes. Whether it's part of our nighttime routine, but it can always be something to play on, something to add on. You can spice things up by, maybe putting only one booster in, but forcing your little to wear it a little longer so that they leak, and adding a booster every time they leak.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about that, is how do I time out the additional boosters? That's good.
People, that's why I always let my sales partner close the deal.
We make a good team.
You are a good team.
High five.
That's so good. And you know what it reminds me of is my first car was a manual transmission, a stick shift, right? And the thing that I loved about it was the absolute sense of control. You decided when you were downshifting, you decided how the acceleration and the grip was going to go. And this feels the same way, that you have minutia level control over every part of the experience.
I am curious, though. I'm thinking about people that don't have partners to change them. Do you find in changing yourself, first of all, because I would be changing myself a lot, right? You change me a lot, but we're not always in the same room together.
Right,
and, we have jobs and things. So do you find that, first of all, is changing yourself tricky? And secondly, can you still find any of that fun ritual aspect when you're doing it yourself?
100%. It's still when you're doing it yourself, because you can treat yourself like the baby, like the precious object. And that's the beautiful thing. You can lay out your changing mat, and you can get your talcum powders, and you can feel the softness of it, and you can be stared at by your stuffy animal. It is, it's nowhere near as good as someone else changing you, but it's still great because you're going through the ritual and you're still feeling that softness, that comfort. And as soon as it gets close to you, you start to feel instantly more babyish.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine even just mentally preparing yourself to do the change, that because that's part of the ritual too. As you approach the experience, that you're experiencing that change, which is really cool.
And I think what's really special about a diaper change when you are using cloth diapers is the very, very evident change between a dirty diaper to a clean diaper. That it's very obvious because you're feeling the wetness so much more, that when it's removed from your body and a clean diaper is pressed up against you, it's an overwhelming sensual experience. And you can really focus on that when you're alone and your caregiver isn't there telling you how wet you are. So that plays into it a lot. I think for me, when I'm alone, I like to really focus on how wet I was and now how dry I am. And even though that dryness doesn't usually last for long, I appreciate it for the brief minute that it's there.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree. Again, that's why she's the senior sales partner. Absolutely. Going from wet to dry is one of the loveliest feelings. Again, feeling that complete springy softness underneath you when it's dry. Oh, completely.
And I can imagine the converse of then the first time it gets wet again, feeling the marked change. Go back. Yeah, that's really good. Friends, this has been amazing. Is there anything else you want to share with us and our listeners about cloth diapers that we haven't talked about?
I think we've left it all out on the pitch.
I do think we did a great job at covering absolutely everything. I think the last tip I would just have for anybody wanting to try it, anybody who's already trying cloth diapers and maybe is being discouraged because they're leaking, is don't get discouraged. You'll find the right cloth diaper for you. And once you do, it can be really worth it.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is beautiful.
I think you sold us, guys. I think we can close this deal. I think let's find somewhere to
Sounds
handshake
good.
and sign
I'll
on the
send over
dotted
the
line.
contract.
I was going to say, Jeff will
Are
be
there
in touch
keys
tomorrow with the
involved?
paperwork.
Good.
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
You're joining the Cloth Diaper Club, CDC.
Welcome.
For sure.
Now I want a membership card.
Yeah, I guess and those who follow us on Instagram or Tumblr, you'll get to be the benefactors of this decision. So enjoy.
Karen will provide that for you tomorrow as well.
Thank you for having Karen follow up. This has been
Funny.
This has been so much fun. Exec Baby, if folks wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
I am super lazy when it comes to social media, but they can find me on FetLife. That's the one place where I am active. Yeah.
And it's just Exec Baby.
It's
on FetLife.
Exec Baby, just all one word. That's where it is.
Very nice. And Liv, if folks wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
You can find me on Instagram at newborn ABDL. Just make sure that you've got an age in your bio. Or you could also find me on Tumblr at babygirlmommy496.
Awesome. And the account is truly adorable, I promise you.
Yeah, there are
Thank
very
you.
many times that I look over in bed and I see you looking at that Tumblr.
Yeah, it's a great Tumblr, man.
Yeah.
What about for you, Lola?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
If people want to find me?
Yeah.
Well, they'll just have to come here and find me. No, I'm just kidding.
I hope not. I don't want them coming over.
I'm kidding.
Call first or
I am
something.
Lola and then some on all of the things. I am not on Instagram because I don't trust Zuckerberg. So I'm Lola and then some on Tumblr, but the last O is now a 0. And I'm also Lola and then some on JFF and on FetLife.
But the O's are O's.
They
on those
are
ones.
on
They're
those
not
ones.
zeros.
Yeah, you know how Tumblr does the thing.
Yeah.
And then,
Purge
yeah.
you, and then you got to come
Mhm,
back. Yeah.
mhm.
And I am Resonant Yes. You can find me on Instagram and Tumblr and FetLife. And even better, if you're on Instagram, follow the Love and Brief account on Instagram, because every new episode, that's the first place it comes out. It comes out there and on FetLife in our Love and Brief podcast group. Feel free to send your own questions. It's your questions that decide what we talk about. And the more that we hear about something, the more likely we'll do an episode on it.
And don't forget, if you're not a social media person, that's okay. We also have a Gmail. You can send us questions or topic ideas to the loveinbrief@gmail.com.
That's right. And I haven't mentioned this in a while, but if you really enjoy the podcast and you know somebody else or you believe anybody else who with an ABDL kink might benefit, send it along. Love it when you recommend to friends and people in the community. Post in forums and let people know it's here. I hear from people all the time, oh my gosh, I didn't know you existed until 6 months ago, and I have listened to every episode, and it has changed my life in one way or another. And I want that for people who maybe haven't heard of it. So the other thing you can do is leave a review or stars, rating, whatever, on your favorite podcast app, and that helps get the word out that we're here. So if you find it helpful, please share it with somebody else. I think that's all we got. Anything else, Lola?
I'm going to go click, find some cloth diapers to purchase.
Yeah, we have such a great list. We'll put it all in the show notes. I think I know where we can start.
And I think that's actually really helpful because I have no idea where to look. So having a list like this
start with the show notes.
Really awesome.
Yeah. Well, until then, EB and Liv, it has been such a pleasure. Wonderful to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's really a pleasure. And I'm certain we will have more cloth episodes in the future. But in the meantime, this has been another episode of Love in Brief.